The Year Without a Santa Claus by Phyllis McKinley, illustrated by John Manders. Have you been told? Did you ever hear of the curious, furious, fidgety year when Santa Claus unhitched his sleigh and vowed he was taking a holiday? How did it happen? This way. It was long ago, before you were living. Not yet Christmas, but past Thanksgiving. Though I can't give you the very date. Santa got up that morning late, pulled on one boot, then its twin, ruffled the whiskers on his chin, and sat back down on the side of the bed. "Great North Star, but I'm tired," he said, painting wagons red and bright, sharpening ice skates half the night, wrapping presents in ribbon and gauze, has worn me weary, said Santa Claus. Crick in my back, cold in my nose, aches in my fingers and all 10 toes, and a sort of kind of a kink inside whenever I think of that Christmas ride. Into his workroom limped the saint. He sniffed the varnish, he smelled the paint, and a reeling feeling came over him stealing to see things crammed from floor to ceiling. Rocking horses with shaggy manes, balls, dolls, electric trains, gloves, mitts, doctor kits, rubber boots, cowboy suits, kites for flying in parks, bicycles, Noah's Arks. And he started to shake and he started to shiver at the thought of the load he must soon deliver. And he sighed, "Oh dear," as he buttoned his vest. "I wish one year I could take a rest." When the words were out, he stood stock still, and then he whispered, "I think I will." "I will," he cried as his eyes ablaze. "Everyone else gets holidays. Sailors and tailors and cooks do. Policemen and writers of books do. Tamers of lions and leopards. Preachers and teachers and shepherds. Watchmen, Scotchmen, Spaniards, Turks. Butchers and bakers and grocery clerks. They take time off as Christmas nears. All except me, so it appears, that saint or not, it's time I got my first vacation in 1,000 years. Out in the stable, nuzzling hay, the reindeer dreamed of Christmas Day. But Santa phoned to the reindeer groom, "Hang up the harnesses in the big storeroom." He called to his elves. He told each gnome, "Cover up the shelves, we're staying home." "What? Cover the shelves?" cried gnomes and elves. "Cover the dolls and electric trains, and the rocking horses with shaggy manes, and the rubber boots for splashing in parks, and the cowboy suits, and the Noah's arks? Alas, alack, for they couldn't believe he wouldn't go riding on Christmas Eve. "Put 'em away," roared Santa, vexed. "This year's presents will do for next. Warn the people, tell the papers, I'm much too tired for Christmas capers. Crick in my back, a cold that lingers, aches in my toes, and all 10 fingers. Bit of lumbago, touch of gout, climbing down chimneys is simply out. I may be the saint of the children's nation, but this is the year of my first vacation." Well, you can imagine, more or less, what happened when that news reached the press. Headlines screamed, wires went humming. Santa says, "Too tired, not coming." And as the word flashed far and wide, you should have heard how the children cried. So violently they sobbed their griefs. The shops ran out of handkerchiefs. Their tears filled up the kitchen sinks and cellars and empty skating rinks. They wept in school, at play they wept. They dampened their pillows while they slept. Before those darlings' eyes got drier, all the rivers rose 3 feet higher. And I don't know what would have happened quite, except for Ignatius Thistlewhite. Ignatius Thistlewhite was a boy in Texas, or was it Illinois? 6 years old, but brave for his years. He sobbed no sobs, and he wept no tears, but stood up tall in his class to say, "Santa deserves a holiday." "No, no, no," came the children's plaint. "What is Christmas without our saint?" "Shucks now, fellows, gosh good gracious, Christmas is Christmas," cried Ignatius. "And everyone tells me, whom I've met, it's a day to give as well as to get. Since all these years in the children's cause, Santa's been giving without one pause. Let's pull together in the Christmas weather and give this year to Santa Claus." "Hooray!" his classmates said. "He's right. 3 cheers for Ignatius Thistlewhite." Fast as a hurricane, children hurled that happy message around the world. Over each continent, isle, and isthmus, let's give Santa a Merry Christmas. With snow, the earth was already whitening, but they rolled up their sleeves and worked like lightning. They opened their piggy banks, racked their brains. They chartered buses and special trains, and ships and sledges and hydroplanes. To reach the pole by the 24th was their goal. East, south, west, north came gifts and gifts and gifts to spare from clever children everywhere. Slippers with zippers to zip on, soap for his bath or to slip on, geraniums pink in a pot, one guppy, a puppy named Spot, balsam pillows, strawberry jam, dressing gowns with his monogram, 10 harmonicas for him to play on, hand-painted pictures done in crayon, mufflers, pipes, an easy chair, and lots of winter underwear. In New York State, a boy called Pudge cooked him a plate of homemade fudge. And little girl guides of Britain each made him a scarlet mitten, while a boy in Siam sent a Siamese kitten. They sent him lemon drops by the carton, ashtrays modeled in kindergarten, jackknifes, pen wipers, capes, and crullers, and magic pencils that wrote 3 colors. Tots who hadn't a penny to spend wrote him letters signed a friend. And they had more fun that strange December, they said, than any they could remember. Up at the pole in the fragrant hay, the idle reindeer dreamed at play. Comet nickered for oats and corn. Dancer brandished his velvet horn, while sadly, sorely lounged at home each idle elf and gnome. Santa sat poking the fire and blinking, but nobody knew what he was thinking. Then suddenly, from the sky, there came the sound of planes. He heard the hoot and the cry of ships and special trains. Noel tootled the sledges, honk the buses cried, and out of his study window, Santa put his head. He looked to the left, he stared to the right. He didn't trust his own eyesight. So many, so merry, so more and more, packages were rolling to his front door. Smack at his door sill they thundered. 1,000,000, 1,000, 100. Flat ones and fat ones and lean ones, crimson and silver and green ones, broad ones, odd ones, plain, romantic ones, little and big, and great, gigantic ones. Parcels from London, Rome, Atlanta, and each addressed alike to Santa. Atop them all, a banner glinted, where Ignatius Thistlewhite had printed these words: "Good luck and holiday mirth from all the children upon the earth." With toots and hoots and honks light-hearted, the buses turned and the trains departed, leaving the saints surrounded by parcels piled to the polar sky. Santa was silent for a minute. His eye looked bright, but a tear stood in it. Then he blew his nose like a trumpet blast. "God bless my soul," he said at last. "By the big Borealis, by my maps and charts, I didn't know children had such kind hearts. How could a man feel gladder, prouder?" He turned to his staff and his voice got louder. "Gnomes, elves, every mother's son, don't stand staring. There's work to be done. Bring in the barrels, fetch in the boxes, carry in those packages, and don't break one." Where to put them? There wasn't space in the parlor or study or any place. They overflowed bureau, couch, and table, filled the house, the sheds, the stable, slid from mantels, jammed the casement, bulged from attic, and burst from basement. "There's nothing to do," exclaimed the elves, "except to empty some workshop shelves." Off those shelves then, Santa's forces whisked the painted rocking horses. When presents wouldn't fit, down came kite and doctor's kit. Still, there wasn't room for all, so away went basketball, cowboy suit, rubber boot, bicycle, and talking doll. Till by the time that twilight reigned, not a single toy on the shelves remained. All were stacked and packed away in the one place left, the Christmas sleigh. Then Santa gazed from floor to rafter and gave his mightiest shout of laughter. Laughed loud ho-hos, laughed vast ha-has. What a joke he chortled on Santa Claus. You might as well phone the reindeer groom to take down the harness in the big storeroom. Get me my gloves, the robe for my lap, and my coat and my warmest stocking cap. There sits a sleigh with the toys inside. So what can I do tonight but ride? What about your gout? The gnomes cried out. What about your aches and the crick in your spine? Pooh, laughed Santa, my back feels fine. Never felt younger, never felt stronger. Haven't got a symptom any longer. And before the midnight bells go chiming, I'd like to do some chimney climbing. So harness the reindeer, let 'em rip. It's time to begin my favorite trip. With flurry and scurry and chatter and hurry, they brought him his cap and his lap robe furry. They roused up Cupid, they rubbed down Vixen, they polished the bells on Donner and Blitzen. There were cheers from the gnomes, from the elves applause. Then off through the night flew Santa Claus. And I've heard the old people often say, there never was such a Christmas day. Never such joy after Santa'd swirled from rooftop to rooftop around the world, while at the home of a sleepy boy in Texas, or was it Illinois? A special letter was left that night, addressed to Ignatius Thistlewhite. It was clipped to the handlebars like a medal of the best two-wheeler a boy could pedal. Dear Sir, was written in Santa's hand, please thank the children in every land. Tell them I'll take good care, I hope, of the guppy and the puppy and the slippery soap. I like my pipes, I love my chair, I do appreciate the underwear. And I pledge this promise on my sled and pack. Year after year, I'll be coming back. Vacations, I guess, weren't meant for me. I'll never want another one. Yours, S.C. And that's one reason, you may believe, why children are merry on Christmas Eve. You know yourself, As you hang your stocking, it doesn't matter if the winds are knocking. Though the storm falls heavy, though the great gale roars, though nobody else would budge outdoors. Snug in your bed while the tempest drums, you can count your blessings on your fingers and thumbs. For yearly, newly, faithfully, truly, somehow, Santa Claus always comes. The end. I hope you've enjoyed this story, The Year Without a Santa Claus. Grandma had to read this story. This is another old story that Grandma's mom used to read me when I was little, and I remember when it first came on television too. The book was written in 1956, so it's over 60 years old, and the television show came out. I think Grandma was like 6 or 7 when it came out. So that's an old one. Grandma's getting up there. And I remember watching it and thinking, oh my goodness, I was so nervous that Santa wasn't going to come. I was scared. I kept thinking, well, he's going to go on vacation. So where do you think Santa would go if he went on vacation? Do you think he would go to like the beach, maybe Hawaii? I don't know. Would he go to another country like, I don't know, Australia, New Zealand? I know people in Australia and New Zealand listen to these stories. So maybe they come over there because in the wintertime, when in the United States we have Christmas, it's cold over here, but it's summertime in Australia. So now tell me where you think he would go on vacation. Now click that thumbs up button and let Grandma know how much you like this story. And make sure you come back for more stories. Bye, Grandma.